Hi everyone. I've had a few bits of feedback and some comments from residents about the recent announcement by the Department of Transport that puts North Lincolnshire Council on the red list for spending on highways. Well, first of all to say, as you know, I'm known for my on-the-fence opinion. It's a load of rubbish. Reality is they give us this form to fill in, and it's a new form. We filled it in. We think we've spent around £12 million, which of our £14 million allocation is pretty good about this time. Also, it's winter, so you do tend to try and spend as much as you can early on in the year. Guess what? They've recorded it as £2 million, so that puts us on the red stop. That makes us, again, make you think that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And I think those of you that know, as leader of this council, I'm pretty active and I'm on this stuff along with the cabinet members. It's really important to me that we do spend on time. And I have for months been saying, we're in a new system, make sure you get that money spent. And we have done it, but yet, Department for Transport haven't yet put us on well, we'd be amber. I think we'd be about 71% of what we should have been spending on their metric. But how the hell is money spent an outcome? It's not. It's what you've done with that. And you know, we've got 900 odd miles of roads, 600 miles of paths. So it's not an easy job to do here. It's clearly a lot easier to do if you've just got a city to look after. But in Lincolnshire, and our bit of North Lincolnshire, we've got roads built on peat, which is really difficult, and they subside at the edge when they get any heavy traffic. You know, you're on these roads all the time, as I am. And I report more potholes than anybody else in this county. I've got a Walk 3 Words app, and I go round and do it because I want this place to be the best it can be. But we've had this measure that says we're on the red step, and we've put the information in to say we're not on the red step. Does that mean I think that every pothole has been filled? No, because I have a lady who contacts me about one on Crosby Avenue all the time, and I follow that up and we get to it as soon as we can. We do temporary fixes, we do patch fixes, which I prefer. I don't like temporary fixes, but they are part of that route to doing it. We do patching because it does prolong the life of the road, and when it doesn't all need resurfacing, why the hell would you spend the money on it? So, and then we do resurfacing, which we tend to do when it's summer because it does take a lot better. So I don't think our roads are perfect, operate under no illusion. They're a lot better, and people tell me this all the time, so I know it's true, than many roads throughout this country, but I want them to be better, and we don't deserve to be on the red step. Now, I've got Adam with me, who many of you know when I've done Facebook Lives, I try to be as accountable and accessible as possible. He's here today to ask me a few questions about this, and to just put me on the spot, as he usually does. Now, just to be clear, I want to put it on record, I prefer Mandy. She normally does the Facebook. We've got Adam today. And he's smiling, and I don't know why. So, Adam, what are you going to ask me?
So, obviously, the rating came out on Sunday.
Yeah.
Hit all the national newspapers.
It did.
North Lincolnshire Council was rated as one of the 13 worst in the country. There's a couple of bits really for me. You've said about in essence, the spreadsheet error.
Yeah.
Do residents really care about a little bit of a scrap between you and a government department and a spreadsheet error, and we put up numbering wrong?
Yeah.
Their experience is of the roads that they use on a day-to-day basis. It might sound like excuses.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I care about that spreadsheet error because frankly, if you put that you've spent 12 million quid, they should record it as 12 million quid. And I've written to the Secretary of State, not the Minister, I wrote to the Secretary of State on Monday morning. And if I can say that when I read it, there was a lot of swearing when I read it because I couldn't quite believe that this was the case in an organisation that I spend a lot of time in trying to make sure we're the best in the country. We're the best in the country for a reason because we work bloody hard to make sure that we're good, and our officers do that. But in this case, it is an error that's gone for us. So first of all, it matters to me because I want us to be reflected truly as we are. Secondly, it's not a fudge. Do I always want us to spend more money on highways? Of course I do. We have lots of demand for money that comes in by the local taxpayer and the grant that we get from government. Most of that gets spent on people. I tell that all the time because I mean it. It gets spent on children who for whatever reason can't live with their parents. It gets spent on older people. Should we get more money from other places to do that? Yeah, but we're pragmatists. We deal with what we've got. Yes, I want more money from the government, and that's not a political point. It's a money point for this county. We've got our hospital services under pressure. All of those things are things that matter to residents too. So we put extra money in for our budget last time to spend more. Now, one thing we are going to be doing as a result of this is we're going to be demonstrating across our social media channels on a regular basis, and I'll be talking to you about this a lot, Adam, so not wishing to deflect it, but our residents are going to be sick of seeing what we do in highways. So it's taught us a very valuable lesson. It's taught me a valuable lesson. I want you to be sick of seeing us patching, pothole filling. And for those we haven't got to, I want you to keep calling us out and making sure we do get to them. Because for me, it matters more than anything, which is why I do this, that we're accountable and we deliver well for taxpayers. That's why we deliver free car parking when no other council does it. That's why we give books to children to make sure them kids can read better when very few councils. That's why we provide free swimming for our kids at Easter and summer, because I want us to be the best. That's why we do what we do, and it might be a spreadsheet error, but by God, I've spent a torrid few days, and officers have spent a torrid few days, and they're going to spend a hell of a lot more, and you will be sick of seeing what we do in the highway spend going forward. And you will write in the comments, but this one's not been done. I see that as healthy, because we can get it done.
So you want people to keep telling us?
Absolutely. You know what? Our biggest challenge in this space is people will often drive past something, and they'll say, oh, look at that. And then they don't tell us. And they assume that we know, because we do know everything apparently, So, tell us. I'm happy for you to tell us, and we're going to try and streamline the way that we make it easier for you to do it, on an app or whatever. We're going to try and make that easier for you to report in. But please do it safely and do your reporting. Assume nothing. And that's something that's a very firm message to me, from me to you in this space.
And this isn't going to stop now, is it?
No.
This isn't over.
Well, we've got winter too. Just to say, we've got winter, so we get more potholes in winter. We do, and the roads look terrible. And then it gets to summer, and people don't mention them anymore. And I often see people who will say, "Oh, my tyre got done on this." I don't know how you were driving when you went over a pothole. And I can't be accountable or responsible for that. Only you as a driver can do that. Just as I'm accountable and responsible for all the miles I do on my road, on roads in North Lincolnshire, and I do a hell of a lot, I can promise you, because I'm in these communities, I'm in North Lincolnshire communities every day. People are sick of seeing me. They say, "Oh, look, Rob," and I'm pleased they see that. But I promise you, this weekend I'll be out in Barton, I'll be out in the Isle, because that's my job, and I promise you that, I will report potholes, but I need you to do me a favour and do the same. And if it don't get fixed quickly, keep at me, call at me, make sure you message me, and I will follow it up.
Do you think there's anything the council could have done better? We've seen a list somewhere of 100 schemes that have been a bit of patching here, that sort of thing. So there's a difference between what has been done and the general perception.
Yeah.
But you can always do more. You can always be better.
This isn't a job finish. You don't have 900 miles of roads and 600 miles of pathway and then suddenly it all get fixed. Do we have enough money that comes to us from government, any government? Do we have enough to do that? No, we don't. Do we put our own money in? Yes, we do. Is it easy to fix roads? No, it's not, because things change all the time. We've got one of our worst roads in the county, does happen to be in my ward. And so I drive in it every day, and people will say to me, "You know what, why is that road not being done?" And it's been in the programme to do for the last year. Actually, the last 2 years to be done. But every time that it's been due to be in the programme to be nearly done, a utility provider, in this case, I think it's an electricity or a gas one. It's a gas one, actually, it's Cadent, has said, "We're going to dig a bloody great trunk down the centre of that road, and we're going to keep residents from being able to use it with a traffic light system for 12 weeks. Now, when you're sat at home and thinking, "Bloody hell, I'm sat in these traffic lights, I'm sick of this," think about the fact, if we'd have resurfaced that road, knowing that that was coming, it would have been dug up and it would have looked a mess, and then we'd have got the blame for that as well. So none of this is easy. From an armchair, this stuff is really easy. Well, I'd have just done that. Well, that's not how life works. you're on 900 miles of road that any utility provider, from you not having your gas connected that day to an electric fault, to a BT fault, to a drainage issue, all of those utilities have to have access to the public highway. And that means, so we try to do it, so we get those utilities works done first, and then we get the resurfacing.
Can you stop the utilities?
No, of course well, we could, but we would be effectively telling all our residents, what does it matter if you've not got gas or electric? I'm sure you'll cope being cold. So that means an older person sitting at home without gas because there's a poor connection in the middle of the road. So no, we can't, nor should we. It would be wonderful to be able to manage a highway network in which nobody touched it at all, but that means none of you would have gas or electricity, and well, frankly, we'd be in a bloody heap, wouldn't we? Well, you wouldn't be watching me on Facebook because you wouldn't have Wi-Fi. So no, it's just not possible. The other thing is we get the covers in the roads that often make a blooming noise, and the tarmac around them goes. They're not always the councils. We always get the blame for them. We often have to go to statutory providers, whether that's BT or Openreach, or the water companies. They're not ours, but they're on the public highway, so they have access to that. So it's quite complicated, this. It's not as easy as people think. 900 miles of road, 600 miles of paths. Can we do more? Yes, and I'm not here saying it's all done. Look at me, it's easy. What I'm here is saying I need your help to keep reporting. But one thing I can assure you going forward, you will be sick of hearing about where highways have been, what they've done, what they've achieved with the resource they've done, because at the minute you haven't heard that, and you're going to be sick of seeing it. And I want you to be sick of seeing it, because you'll see what we're doing instead of what you think we're doing. And that's the important factor going forward.
The other question.
I might get my video in there. Maybe there'll be a shiny shovel. I'm really pleased as well to be able to say we're starting the Barton bypass really soon as well, which some people have said, well, are you just fixing the roads? Well, because we need to improve the road network too. And also we're well on with the roundabout to nowhere. I know what it's called, getting that connectivity in, and there'll be some reports on that in a couple of weeks too.
You mentioned some figures, 10 million, 12 million, etc., etc.
Yeah.
All that, all those numbers we saw from the national announcement, DfT saying £78 billion.
Yeah.
These numbers are inaccessible. What does it mean to people? And that's the challenge, is it when you're driving on a road and there's a pothole that hasn't been fixed, and you get £10 million. Actually, I could see why residents might look at it and say, well, I don't feel like I'm getting value for that. No. You're spending all that, but this still hasn't been done.
Well, I get it. You know what? I look at what it costs to resurface a road sometimes, and I look at the road, and then I see it's cost £250,000, and I think, what the hell's that? But we go through a competitive tender exercise. If anybody has got evidence of anybody having a brown envelope, and then people often say this, you tell me, and well, actually, better still, report it straight to the police, because it's a criminal act. But what I'd say is, it costs a lot of money to do roads, because guess what? Since COVID, none of the prices have come down. They've all gone up. Try and do your own driveway. All of these costs have gone up, and it does cost more, so you don't get as much for the money. And even though we try to buy as effectively as we can by batching things together, making sure we put contracts together so they know they've got a sustained period of work, so contractors think, well, I'll give them a bit better price because I know I've got 4 jobs instead of 1. All of those things are things that really help. But fundamentally, you need good weather, or the best weather you can possibly have, to resurface roads, and you also need availability. We're lucky we've got some good contractors in our area, and we should be using them more. I really wish I'd brought my glasses.
I was going to ask you
yes.
About the costs are rising as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Nothing's getting cheaper.
It's going to get...
Well, inflation is still an issue. It's a national issue. It's an issue, and it is continuing to be an issue. Nothing is getting any cheaper. We know that from the basket of shopping that we go and do. When I buy my bread and when I buy my milk, I'm in the same boat as you, so I see it and I know what it's like. But nothing when it comes to highways or anything technical is getting any easier. The other thing is, it's great that living wages and basic wages are all going up. That's a nice thing, but it increases the costs exponentially to contractors, because it's not only what they do at the level of point of entry into the workforce. In a government organisation, that means everybody's wages go up. So, and that in itself is another challenge too. Do we need everybody? Well, of course you need a lot of people. It takes a lot of leaning on a lot of shovels. It's not an easy job to do. I'm making a joke there, Adam, but it's a reality. You know, you've got to have the right people to do a job safely. Nobody goes to work to not have it done safely. You've seen those signs on the motorway. My dad comes to work to live in a safe. And that's the environment people work in. All our operatives across those visual public services are at risk every single day. Nobody goes to work to be at risk, and we've got to think of that as well, and that's why the costs are higher, but they're higher for a good reason too. But our ambition is still the same. We're putting a load of money in, over 20 million next year, to keep doing. So we're actually spending more on highways, but you'll be sick of seeing it, let me be assured. You'll be sick of seeing where we're doing that work, and you'll see it on social media, and you'll see me with a hard hat and a North Lincolnshire vest to demonstrate that.
Do you think we could invite DFT up and see if they'd stand in front of the steamroller?
I would love, but no, I'm very respectful. You know what, I do think there are some councils who don't spend money as effectively as they should. I'm sure that there are. They're bound to be. It's a public sector system, and some people. But by God, we don't have that here in North Lincolnshire. We don't have it. And so we do our best to go, are there things that we should spend on? And just to say, when people have put, somebody did actually put, I think the roads around Church Square are built of gold. And I just wanted to correct that. It's really important for me, Adam. So I posted back and said, they're actually gold plated. No, they're not. All of those works that are done in those town centre stuff is from a different pot of money. You can't fund, they are done from a different pot of money because the utility areas, clearly you get more footfall in town centres, so you have to do things to a different standard than you would in areas where you've got a cul-de-sac and 8 houses. All of those things are things that we have to work with, and we advocate for this every single day. So what I would say is, I'm going to sum up now, and thank you for asking me the questions, but for me it really matters that we're accessible, but be assured the figure that puts us on the red step is not a true figure, and we've taken that up with the Secretary of State. I've written a letter, and we've taken it up with highways officers, have taken it up directly with the Department for Transport. Do we need to do more? Do I think that I'm living here and riding around on my magic carpet? I've got a Nissan. I drive on the same road as you are, and I promise I see those work that needs to be done every day. And some of it's because it's colder weather, it's winter, you'll see a lot more of it. Get it reported in, it'll be on the list, and then we can get it tackled as soon as we can. Please bear with us. It's always difficult when we do road works. People get impatient because they don't plan the time. When you see a pothole, don't drive at it. If you're in a rural lane, sometimes stick it a bit steady. We also grit the roads. We have 25,000 street lights. All of those things still need to be maintained with the same pot of money. And yes, we should have more money, but we haven't got more money because the government haven't given it as it. So we can't keep taking money from you either, because you've got your own household bills and your own families to feed. So we do the best with what we've got, but I can tell you we're not on the red step. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you to you, Adam, for taking the time to come out and record this special Facebook Live, but genuinely, well, not Facebook recorded, it's not live, but it's live for me. But please listen to this and know with a high degree of certainty we are working hard on this stuff, and please be assured I will continue to be as accountable as possible. And if you see something, it takes some time to get something fixed sometimes, but I always report it in, and we'll keep following it up, and we will keep trying to make the place that we love and live in the best it can be. Thank you.